Since the dawn of Rome, few names would echo through eternity like that of Julius Caesar, a leader without equal, whose military genius and political cunning redefined the course of the Roman Republic. But his story does not begin on the battlefield, nor in the conspiracies of the Senate. Before becoming the man who would challenge fate, he was a young noble, forged by the adversities of his time. Born in 100 BC amidst the political turmoil that plagued Rome, Gaius Julius Caesar grew up under the influence of an aristocratic family of the Julian gens, who claimed direct descent from Aeneas and the goddess Venus. From an early age, he displayed uncommon ambition and an indomitable spirit. But his youth would be marked by tragedy. At the age of 16, the unexpected death of his father placed him in the role of head of the family, an immense burden for someone so young. This event, instead of breaking him, only strengthened his determination to stand out in a world where only the shrewdest and most ruthless survived. Julius Caesar's rise did not happen by chance. His fate became intertwined with Rome's turbulent politics from childhood. As the nephew of Gaius Marius, one of Rome's most renowned generals and responsible for crucial military reforms, Caesar was raised under the shadow of great leaders. Still young, he strengthened his political ties by marrying Cornelia Cinna, daughter of Lucius Cornelius Cinna, one of Marius's most loyal allies. But this choice came at a price. When Lucius Cornelius Sulla emerged victorious in the civil war against Marius and seized power as dictator, he launched a violent persecution against his former rival's supporters. Branded by his lineage and alliances, Caesar was immediately considered a threat. Sulla demanded that he annul his marriage, but Caesar refused, displaying rare courage for someone his age. The price of his defiance was exile and flight. With no alternatives, he enlisted in the Roman army and set off for Asia Minor, where he distinguished himself in military campaigns. On the battlefield, he proved to be not just an ambitious aristocrat but also a fearless warrior. His bravery was recognized when, in fierce combat, he saved a companion's life and was awarded the prestigious civic crown, one of the highest honors granted to a Roman soldier. Though exile had taken him away from the political heart of Rome, war transformed him into a man forged by danger and glory. With Sulla's death, Julius Caesar was finally able to return to Rome, but he found a city that would not welcome him with open arms. His inheritance had been confiscated, and his social position was shaken. However, instead of resigning to defeat, Caesar found a new path. He became a brilliant lawyer, using his sharp and persuasive oratory to defend popular causes. Gradually, his presence in the courts made him known, and he began to rebuild his political standing. With a sharp intellect and impeccable strategic vision, he understood that to rise to the top of the Roman Republic, he needed to cultivate allies and, above all, win the support of the masses. During this phase of his life, a singular event further reinforced his reputation as a fearless man. While traveling across the Mediterranean Sea, Caesar was captured by pirates who demanded a ransom. Instead of succumbing to despair, he treated them with disdain and promised that as soon as he was freed, he would return to hunt them down. And so he did. After being rescued, he organized a fleet, pursued the pirates, and, true to his word, captured and crucified them. This act not only demonstrated his determination and thirst for vengeance, but also solidified his image as a man who never forgot an affront, and who always kept his promises, whether to friends or enemies. Returning to Rome after his military achievements, Julius Caesar began his definitive ascent to power, displaying not only talent on the battlefield but also masterful political skill. Aware that the Republic was governed by interests and alliances, he aligned himself with two of the most influential figures of his time: Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, and Pompey the Great, one of Rome's most respected generals. Together, they formed the First Triumvirate in 60 BC, a secret pact that secured their absolute control over Roman politics. As part of this agreement, Caesar was elected consul in 59 BC, a position that allowed him to consolidate his authority and lay the groundwork for what would become his greatest achievement: the conquest of Gaul and his ultimate transformation into the most powerful man in Rome. With his consulship completed and his position strengthened, Julius Caesar set his sights on an even greater objective: the expansion of Roman dominance. In 58 BC, he assumed command of the provinces of Cisalpine and Narbonese Gaul, launching a military campaign that would become one of the most impressive in history. For nearly a decade, he faced fierce and formidable tribes, defeating the Helvetii, the Suebi, and the Belgi in strategic battles that showcased his tactical brilliance. Combining discipline, innovation, and an unparalleled ability to adapt to battlefield conditions, Caesar not only conquered territories but also solidified his prestige among his soldiers, who came to see him as an invincible leader. The greatest challenge, however, came in 52 BC, when Vercingetorix, a charismatic and determined leader, unified the Gallic tribes in a massive revolt against Roman rule. The war culminated in the Battle of Alesia, where Caesar, despite being outnumbered, employed a bold tactic. He surrounded the enemy's stronghold with a ring of fortifications while simultaneously constructing a second defensive line to prevent outside reinforcements. This completely besieged the Gauls, cutting off their supplies and undermining their resistance. After weeks of siege, Vercingetorix was forced to surrender, sealing Rome's victory and securing Caesar's absolute control over Gaul. This triumph not only enriched Rome but also made Caesar one of history's most powerful generals, provoking fear among his political opponents in the Senate. While Julius Caesar consolidated his rule over Gaul, Rome's political climate became increasingly volatile. The Senate, led by Pompey, no longer saw Caesar as a hero of the Republic but as a threat to the balance of power. In 49 BC, the Senate, under Pompey's influence, ordered Caesar to disband his legions and return to Rome without troops, an obvious attempt to politically disarm him. But Caesar, a man who never accepted impositions, made a decision that would alter history forever. In a bold and irreversible move, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, uttering the words that would echo through eternity, Alia jacta est. The die is cast. With that, he initiated the Second Roman Civil War. His campaign was swift and devastating. Pompey, realizing he could not face him directly in Rome, retreated to Greece to gather his forces. But Caesar, relentless, crossed the Adriatic and confronted him at the Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BC, once again demonstrating his military genius. His legions, though outnumbered, crushed Pompey's forces, forcing him to flee to Egypt. However, upon arrival, Pompey met a tragic fate. He was assassinated by order of the young King Ptolemy XIII, who hoped to gain Caesar's favor. Instead of gratitude, Caesar was enraged by the treachery and intervened in Egyptian affairs, supporting Cleopatra VII in her struggle for the throne. The fates of Rome and Egypt intertwined at that moment, and Caesar's name became even more immortal. Victorious, Julius Caesar returned to Rome as its most powerful man. The Senate, weakened, granted him unprecedented honors. In 44 BC, he was declared Dictator Perpetuus, with absolute authority. Fearing he aimed to restore the monarchy, senators conspired against him. On March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, he was ambushed in the Senate and fatally stabbed, betrayed by those he trusted, including Brutus. His death plunged Rome into chaos, leading to the rise of his heir, Octavian, later Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Ironically, the very republic Caesar's assassins sought to protect was ultimately replaced by an empire, his legacy shaping history forever. If you love epic and real stories filled with betrayals, battles, and characters who changed the course of history, then this is the channel for you. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming narratives about the darkest and most fascinating moments of the Middle Ages and the ancient world. And if you enjoyed this story, leave a like. It helps the channel grow and motivates us to bring even more legendary content to you. See you in the next chapter of history.